Hi, my name is Soile, and you're listening to Heart to Heartland, a fan podcast from a fan perspective. Welcome back to this fan podcast. And the reason why I keep saying fan podcast is because there seems to be some confusion about who I am and what this podcast is about, even though I say it in like the first 10 seconds of this video. But if you don't go past that, or if you just completely ignore the podcast, then you won't know that. But then again, you wouldn't get this far either. So anyways, this is a fan podcast from a fan to fans, and we talk about, the fan experience of watching Heartland and the fandom experience, where we see new stuff, we have thoughts, opinions, and stuff like that. So that is the concept. This is not a group meeting of how can we improve the show or anything like that. This is just chit chat between group of fans. So yeah, hope that is cleared out because today we're getting the season 18 era like officially going with talking about the promotional stills and then of course the teaser trailer. So first, let's talk about the promotional stills. So what we have is Amy doing roping or something like that with a horse that looks like Shadow. I'm thinking that's Shadow because, he's the new horse of Amy, but I have to say I've never noticed that Shadow's butt is as wide as it is in the picture, but I guess horses can change color sometimes. Then we have Jack carrying a saddle, and that's blue in the background, I'm pretty sure. And then Lou in cowboy gear, chaps and all. And I think that's the horse that's been playing Tim's horse Hawk. Not sure if they're still continuing his role or if this is a different horse, but it will be interesting to see if Tim sort of gives Hawk to Lou because she's obviously working with the cattle these days. So yeah, I wonder where Venus has gone. Not saying she's a cattle horse per se, but just curious. And then we have Tim with a rope as well. Not sure what horse is in the background because that is not Champ. It looks more like Buddy, but he's been gone since last season, so I don't think that's him. So I'm wondering if Tim has a new horse this season, or maybe they were like, well, that horse will look really good behind him and he's very good with standing still and stuff like that. But those were the pictures of the core four, as they say. It's interesting that there is no group photo apparently. They're using the Amy picture with CBC Jam and all the promotional stuff. So that was predictable, but also kind of sad because obviously the fans love whenever there's like a group photo. But yeah, let's get into your comments. No Context Heartland said, I really prefer when there's at least one photo of the group together rather than just solo images. Then Elaine said, they are okay, but where is Lisa and the girls? Meaning Lindy and Katie. Then Chris Tim Heartland said, none of the horses are the original ones. Love all the posters, but I especially love the Tim one. The images lack of vibrancy and color. The characters are too serious. Tim looks natural the way he's standing and holding the rope. Lou looks a bit odd in that outfit. Maybe if she wasn't wearing the chaps. Amy looks a bit forced the way she's holding that rope up at chest level considering the horse is right beside her. And that saddle covers most of Jack's body. Maybe if it was on the ground beside him, I don't know, but that's just my personal opinion. I do like the posters. Then BCO Felice said Austin sauce. Then Sharon said, not sure, background looks great. Agree with others, Tim's is the better. Then HL Horses said, love when the new arc comes out. But I agree with the fact that these horses aren't the actual horses, kind of ruins it. Haha. Then Thomas said, sorry, I don't care for these photos. The photos of the early seasons are and will always be the best of Heartland. Then Jenna said, you know I'm here to say this. Where is Spartan and Lisa? I want to see the full image of all together. Maybe I will like it more. Then Yvonne said, the 4 pictures are the heart of Heartland. I think they're fine. New seasons, sometimes new horses. These are our Heartland stars. Why be critical? Then Wisabel said, I think they hired a first day Starbucks barista intern to edit these. Heartland Lisa BFC said, I think Tim's is actually the best image there. Smoking Holster said, I don't know that I'll ever get used to Lou in the cowboy getup. That said, I agree that Tim's is probably the best, though I like Amy's as well. As for me, I would have liked to see a group photo as well. Something similar to what they did last season, like we had Amy in the foreground, but then we have Jack, Lou, and Tim in the background on horseback. It's always like disappointing whenever there's no Lisa or Katie or Lindy or, because they're part of the family as well, but it is what it is. I'm not saying these photos are bad, but it's definitely disappointing not to see a crew photo. So, yeah, I'm not saying these are bad, but but there's definitely some awkwardness in almost all of them. The Amy one, definitely most edited. You can see she has like softer texture on her face, and the shadows are more smoother. And, I guess it makes sense because they're using that photo to promote the show. But like Chris Tim Heartland said, I think it was Chris Tim Heartland, it's kind of like, okay, what is she doing with the rope? It's kind of hogging all of the attention because it's like, who's the lead here? The horse, the rope, or the girl, So I would have loved to have seen what the alternates were for this. As for the Jack one, I mean, I understand where they're going with this, but then I don't know, the horse is kind of awkwardly posed. He's doing a good job. And, Sean obviously looks charming as always. But I think it was a good point by someone who said that the saddle is basically taking most of the attention, and Jack is almost not there. It's kind of like with the Amy photo, really. Like who's the main character here? The saddle, the horse, or the guy? Yeah, and with the photos of Jack, Lou, and Tim, the lighting is different. It's very harsh. I don't like it because I think they were going for that golden hour, glow, that warm tone, and I think this looks too rough. The horses look great, the background looks great, but I just don't like the harsh lighting. Lou looks okay. I mean, it's definitely new side to Lou, with the cowboy gear up. I think the pose is fine, like compared to Amy and Jax, because it's clearly like she's the character you're supposed to look at. The horse is cute, and I think if I would see this, I would be like, oh, what is this? So I think it works on me, and I don't know. I think they were maybe going for like more serious Lou look because she looks very stern in this. And I don't know, maybe it's telling the story of the season, but I would have loved to see a little bit softened look. But then again, it, might not work for her character this season. As for the Tim one, I think Chris is a great model. I think he makes it work. The pose is a good one. He's very like natural. I mean, I can see why Jessica would want to photograph him a lot. So he works in this photo. It's a little bit awkward with the horse because you can't see the hind legs, and yeah, so it looks a little bit like half a horse. I wish they had a group photo just as an alternative. They're not the worst, but they're not my favorite either. Then let's move on to the teaser trailer. I will link this trailer in the description of the YouTube video as well. So, maybe if you haven't seen it yet, go check it out right now before I read the comments and then get back to hear what others have to say about it. But let's get into your comments. Dip said, some of my predictions on what might happen in season 18 are as follows. Amy will attempt to remain neutral in the beef wars, but it will become more and more difficult as the season progresses. I do not think that Lou will interfere in Amy's personal life in any way. However, as Lou, Jack, and Tim work harder and harder, there will be family tension if Amy does not actively help, and she will be forced to pick sides and choose family. Motivated by his emotional turmoil, Nathan and Lou will find a business solution for both ranches at the end season. If that is Cindy Busby that Carrie is dancing with, then I predict that the season will end with Ashley picking up on Caleb's feelings and being on board with the Caleb-Amy pairing and encouraging him to go for it. It is interesting that Ashley seems to be back, at least maybe for an episode, or I don't know, because, well, Carrie teased a little bit about this, like someone from Caleb's past will be back, and my mind immediately went to Ashley. I was like, could it be? Like, I don't know that I necessarily wanted to see that, but when I saw the trailer, I was like, okay, Caleb still seems to maybe have some feelings toward Amy. So if they have to bring out the big guns, meaning Ashley, to turn his head, then yes, I'm all for it. And, it's always interesting to see what Ashley has been up to. I assume that she didn't get married with the Andy guy, but she must be a lawyer right now, unless she changed her life completely and is like living her best life doing something else. But I wonder what brings her to Hudson, maybe some business related stuff. I don't really know if they would call her, because why would they after all this time? But I was really surprised to see her, even though, I was wondering if that would happen. But interesting that they sort of revealed her in the trailer, even though it's like blink and you miss it. But yeah, that definitely caught my interest when I was watching the trailer. Then Demo Dan Costa said, something tells me Lindy may have something to say about Caleb and Nathan. I was actually wondering about this because there's a scene in the trailer where Lindy says something like, you knew my father, didn't you, to Caleb, and Caleb's like, yeah, he was my best friend or something, and then they hug. You can see Amy in the background, so she's definitely there. I wonder what would bring this up. Now, obviously, Lindy could just be wondering about, why do some people have dads and I don't? And like, why is my dad in the moon and all that kind of stuff. But I do think it is nice to see that Caleb actually interacts with Lindy, because I think they maybe interacted back in season 11 or something like that when he was babysitting, or maybe with Cassandra. Anyway, he was all over Lindy when she was a baby, and now they haven't really interacted properly since then, I think. While I do hope that they allow the characters to move forward, because we can't just, I know some people are like, well, you always have to remember Ty. Yeah, sure. But like, you can't just focus fully on that, because there are only 10 episodes and the plot has to move forward. So it's like, you have to assume that they do talk about this stuff between episodes and seasons and all that. So maybe this scene with Caleb and Lindy will sort of help with the complaints about Lindy not talking about her dad. I don't know if Lindy is necessarily like catching on that there may be something going on with Caleb and Amy, or possibly, I don't know. But there is a scene in the trailer where Amy's talking with Nathan on the phone, and Lindy has this look like, And I mean, she's 8 years old. Surely she will sense something, especially with Amy and Nathan, because it's obvious they're very flirtatious with each other. I don't know how much of that is with Lindy around, but I could definitely see a scene where Lindy is kind of like, is Nathan your special friend? Or something like that with Amy, and she's kind of like, oh, like, she takes notice, and what do I say to her? And something along those lines. But I do wonder what the relationship between Lindy and Nathan is at this point of the story. She definitely seems to like him, especially when he has Molly with him. But like, does that go beyond that in this season? Because it's obviously, been months since season 17 wrapped, and we had that picnic scene with Nathan, Amy, and Lindy. So yeah, I don't know. But I think that there's definitely going to be more Lindy involvement this season, I feel like, because last season she was kind of in the background in many ways, which, I get with the story that they were trying to tell. But I think, especially now that things are definitely moving forward full speed, it's like, yeah, she has to be part of that, because it would be weird if she wasn't. Then Maddie Pooh said, I don't know what to think about it. I hate that Amy and Nathan are getting closer and closer. I thought I was ready for her to move on, but I don't think I am, especially with Nathan. He isn't as cute as Ty was. I do understand, like, some people feeling like this is it. Like, they have to sort of face that Amy is moving forward, and so they have to sort of go along with her. And, at this point, we haven't really seen a lot of Nathan and the relationship between Amy and Nathan. I understand that it can be kind of like, oh crap, like, here we go. Like, I don't know if I'm ready. But I'm thinking that a lot of people just have to sort of see who Amy and Nathan are as a couple, and what the story is, and how Nathan as a character evolves, in order to sort of understand like why this makes sense. Because we had 13 seasons, and then some with Ty, so it's definitely different, like, just start from the scratch in a way. And obviously people have preferences, but I think the end goal is probably going to be that Amy and Nathan are a good fit, and it will make sense once the story really has room to grow, and they have room to evolve as a couple. So I think that'll be interesting, like how many people are like, yeah, you know what, I'm on board, compared to it just isn't doing anything for me. Looks aside, people have their preferences, but I think, or I hope that people give the story a chance, because I feel like they're definitely different stories. Like, Amy and Ty was like teenagers falling in love and then growing up into adulthood and learning about who they are and what their dreams are and what kind of couple they are. And then I think we got to see most of that, like them getting engaged, working together, traveling a little bit, getting married, having Lindy, all that. So by the time Ty died, Amy was, she was an adult. So that's a different starting point for Amy to go into a new relationship and start developing that relationship. That'll be interesting, because she's more mature at this point, and she already knows more about what she wants, what she doesn't, what she tolerates, what she doesn't tolerate. Like, she has seen that she doesn't necessarily need anyone, but she would like to have someone in her corner, as she said last season. And that's okay. Like, people want that. So it'll be quite the story, I think, to see where this will all go and how they will develop these characters and them as a couple. Then Kristen Heartland said, I think it's going to be an interesting season. I'm looking forward to seeing Lou in action. Since season 1, she had to fight for her ideas to make the ranch profitable, and she still has to do that in season 18. Shocking. I'm really not looking forward to seeing a love triangle between Amy, Nathan, and Caleb. I really hope the writers will make an effort and come up with a really sweet story for Amy and Nathan. In my opinion, Caleb is more like a brother to Amy, and besides, Amy can live in the past. If she gets together with Caleb, the reminder of her past and of her loss will always be there like a shadow over her head. Great seeing Peter, Shane, Jessica, and Lisa in the trailer. Tim and Jack in the rain are the best, and I'm hoping to see a lot of Tim this season. Does that surprise you? I can't wait to see the episodes. Yeah, I was really nervous about the Amy and Caleb aspect because Carrie and Amber kept kind of teasing like there's going to be this whole cat and mouse thing happening. And I was like, oh my gosh, like, didn't we cover this last season? Like, they had the weird kiss and Caleb was like, oh no, I can't do this. And Amy was like, thank God, because I can't do it either. So I'm like, I don't want to go back there. We only have 10 episodes. Come on. But I do wonder if this was somewhat misleading. I'm hoping it was, at least. So maybe it's more like Caleb looking after Amy because Nathan is supposedly the enemy and something like that. But I was very pleased to see a lot of Nathan in the trailer, with Amy especially. So I'm a little more relaxed now about that than I was before the trailer dropped. As for Lou, I think this is going to be a huge season for her. And I feel like it is very entertaining as a character arc to see her go from, the city girl who comes back in season 1, helps out with the ranch so it can continue as a business. And then she sort of wanders off and does her own thing. And then now she's sort of back to like, what do I want? And then she decides to return to her roots, but in a more intense way than ever before. I feel like there's gonna be a lot of tension between Amy and Lou this season. The aspect of Amy and Jack and Tim sort of being at odds is kind of like, okay, we've seen that, we've done that. And there's always been a little bit tension between Amy and Lou because they do have different angles to different things. And I feel like it really comes to surface again with the season. I do think that it will get a little bit intense, maybe a little bit annoying at some point, but I am pretty sure that in the end they find their way to each other and find ways to support each other, even though their visions of each other, where they're at in their personal life and their business lives are different. It seems like Lou is really not happy with Nathan anymore this season. So I do wonder if, because back in the day, Peter was sort of the enemy of the family with the oil business and all that. Like, if Amy will point that out, because I feel like Lou will be like, he can't be sleeping with the enemy, so to speak. And Amy is like, well, you did. It would be a really, I don't know if I would say fun, but definitely a good callback to earlier seasons and a rewarding in that sense to the people who have watched since, season 1, season 2, and all that. Then We Love Heartland said, I'm just really excited to see what stories they will be telling this season. I'm mostly excited to see how Amy and Nathan's relationship will grow. I know so many people will be against that, but honestly, the thing I'm looking forward to most. That was definitely my take on the trailer as well. Like seeing the scenes together definitely made me like, oh yes, yes, this is something I'm looking forward to because the other stuff is sort of traditional Heartland, and I'm sure I will love most of it. But the Nathan and Amy stuff, it's new. I love the show. Don't get me wrong, but for a long time, it's been kind of the same old with different changes, small changes for the most part. We've had characters leaving, but it's still been pretty much the same. You know, the feel of it. And now introducing the Amy and Nathan story is like, oh, this is new. This is uncharted territory in a way. So that always gives that little spike of new energy among the things that we already love about the show. Then Janice said, "It gave me the same feelings of the trailer for the season following death of Ty. It's interesting to see the clear tension of the love triangle. Maybe a few old faces. I'm interested in the storylines Lou will have this season. We've never fully seen her taking on farm jobs around the ranch. Jack and Tim doing rain dances, I'm sure. Haha. Yeah, I don't think Lou is fully clueless about the ranch work, but there's probably a lot of things that she hasn't really dealt with before. It is interesting to see her kind of being new with something. I wouldn't say necessarily bad, but definitely new with something because she's very skillful with a lot of things. She's been on top of her game for a long time. Sure, she's failed at things sometimes, but I feel like this will be a really rewarding experience for Lou to sort of get into something she knows, but also doesn't at the same time. So I think she's up for the challenge and will become even a more realized person after this season is done. Then Angel Horses said, "My main question is, was that Ashley? Also, not as many Caleb and Amy stuff as I thought, so that's good. Lots of Namie, which is also good." Then Sharon said, "Could Lindy be the one to decide for Amy? Caleb looking like the jealous boyfriend, Nathan hiding his past, Katie with teenager doubts. Love seeing Lou on working on the ranch, but having to always fight for her ideas to help the ranch against Jack. Great scenery as usual. Is it Ashley? The trailer is setting up for the rest of the season. Can't wait." Speaking of Katie, there wasn't really a lot of clips with her. I think maybe two. So I'm not sure what her storyline this season will be, but whatever it is, I'm sure that I'll find it fascinating because I do love Bay as Katie's. So I'm sure that whatever's happening with her will be interesting because I am intrigued by Bay's approach to the material. I do wonder if she's still dirt biking. Pretty sure we haven't seen any behind the scenes stuff with the dirt bikes. I'm guessing maybe there's more school stuff, more with friends. But beyond that, not sure what the storyline will be. And in a way, I'm glad it is that way because I really want to have some surprises as well and see the story being built that all isn't revealed in the trailer because it's kind of like, well, now we know what happens next. So yeah, looking forward to that. Then Joa Goulart said, "Amazing as always." Then Smoking Holster said, "Ashley Stanton, and it looks like it'll be a Lou versus Amy / Bryce as conflict." Then Sharon said, "Doesn't really say anything about season 18 other than Lou arguing about the beef wars. I'm still intrigued about the season and can't wait for it to start." Yeah, the conflict, I'm pretty sure they're throwing Lou under the bus for the sake of the story. And I know Lou already has a lot of haters, so it's going to be a tough season for Lou fans in a way, I'm guessing. But hopefully it will be at least rewarding in the end, because it's going to be hard to watch all the arguments and tension. It has to have some type of meaning or moment of growth for all the characters. I mean, it has to. The trailer doesn't really give away what's going on with Jessica and Lisa. Pretty sure there hasn't been a lot of episodes with Michelle Nolan in them, which is unfortunate. She's living at Heartland, I'm assuming, and she's married to Tim. So what's happening? And as for Lisa, I feel like Jessica Steen was on set a lot this season, which is very promising. I'm really loving the sound of that, or the sight of that, because, well, who doesn't love Lisa? So the trailer doesn't give anything away when it comes to Lisa, but she's smitten with Jack as always. And then there was like an Instagram reel with Bay, Jessica Steen, and Michelle Nolan writing. And I am thinking that this will be a scene where we see Lou injured and Amy's there to help her. And then Jessica, Lisa, and Katie maybe right to the rescue, which is like, yes, please. I want to see that. One scene with that, or if there are more, then yes, I'm all for it. And just overall seeing Lisa outside, not in the kitchen, riding a horse, maybe having like a heroic moment, like sign me up. And hey, before I let you go, I'm going to tell you a little bit about episode 1. It's called True Crit. The description for the episode says, Heartland struggles with competition from Price Beef just as Amy agrees to help Nathan Price in a sheepdog competition. Lou, Jack, and Tim are feeling the strain as a water shortage is on the horizon. So I'm guessing there will be tension, excitement, and cute dogs. Sounds good. Again, a reminder, CBC Gym will have the premiere first on September 29th, which, if you're listening this on Saturday, it's tomorrow. And then if you're watching from CBC TV, the premiere will happen on October 6th, which reminds me, I need to check what my password is. But anyway, some people have been wondering, like, why this strategy? Like, why have an episode air on different time on Gem compared to what has been the case before? Yeah, it definitely surprised me too. But the longer I thought about it, I feel like this is the new trend with streaming services. When I think about what we have in Finland, like we have a channel similar to CBC that is funded by the people of Finland, and then whenever a show drops, they drop the whole season on the streaming service first, like fully whole season for most part. I think that is the case. And then it's only later that they actually air it on TV. And then with other commercial channels, they do this like subscription based thing. Like if you pay for it, you get to see the episode a week in advance, unless it's like a reality show where they want to keep the winner as a surprise. And then a week later, they air the same episode on TV. So I think this is definitely a thing that's happening globally. I'm fascinated to see how this will go. Like, will it change the behavior within the fandom? And like, does it mean that someday they may air the whole season on Gem first and then later on TV? I don't know. Remains to be seen. But that is all for this week. And until the next episode, keep your noses clean and your powder dry, as they say. Bye.